vineyards surrounding the city of Kelowna are definitely cooler than those down in Açores. This makes some of them very well suited to the Germanic varieties, like the beautiful Riesling they make at Tantalus. Definitely one of my favourite wines in the whole valley. Nice to see you, Warwick.
Hey James, how you doing?
Good. So we're here at Tantalus Vineyards on the outskirts of Kelowna with Warwick Shaw, and we're in the block of old vines. So when were they planted?
Yeah, these were planted in 1978, which are some of the oldest in the valley, not quite the oldest, but they're 31 years old.
And what makes it taste so special, or what's so special about old vines then, and the fruit they give?
Well, the old vines always give more complexity to your vines. The wines that we make are quite austere in style, but whenever you try the difference between, say, a 5-year-old vine and a 30-year-old vine, it's quite substantial. So there's a lot of truth to the old term,
Old vines make great wine.
They do.
And so more intensity and more yes. layers of flavour and mineral uptake. And
all of the above, because they're really searching out all through these older soils, these old silt loam soils. They're finding every little bit of mineral that goes into this.
The berry, huh? Mm-hmm. And so we're coming up to harvest now, right? So obviously you got the nets on to protect against the birds. When are you going to harvest, and what determines that all-important picking date?
Well, it's mainly by taste. We'll be going through the numbers, taking sugars or acids, all the basics, but it does come down to taste. In these older blocks, until everything's ripe, we just go through sampling different berries. On both sides of the bunches, say the sunny side and behind the berries as well, get quite a different, and trying to just get an even flavour profile. So at this stage, they're probably about 2 weeks away.
And do you look at the colour of the seeds at all as a determining factor?
Yes, of course, yes. When they're not as green, obviously, when they're browning up, that'll tell you as well that they're getting close, and these are getting quite close. And then picking traditionally around mid-October.
Okay. And by hand?
By hand, yeah.
And why did you go for the hand option?
Well, here it's a little tricky machine harvester with a carrot.
You might have a few accidents.
Could be a little WCB issues there, but all hand-picked. Obviously, we need taller pickers picking this side, shorter on the other side.
And now you have very, very small picking bins. Tell me about them. Why so small? The small milk crates.
Yeah, it's basically when you spend as much time as we do getting really good fruit, and we believe anyway that we put them into the 30-pound lugs or 12-kilo lugs that stack on top of one another, so the fruit gets back to the winery in premium shape, so it's not getting squished on the way back in the bigger 400-kilo bins. So that's how we do it. And also the pickers like it because I'm the fool that's lifting them.
You do all the hard work. And now you're all organic now.
All organic, yes.
And why did you go to organic farming?
Well, we basically, it's all what we believe in. We believe it gives a better quality of fruit, and it's also for the health of the workers, including myself.
In my opinion, you produce the best Riesling in the Okanagan Valley. What do you do to stay ahead of the pack?
Well, consistency is the biggest thing. Once our first vintage in 2005 came out, it did create quite a buzz, but for us, we didn't want to be one-hit wonders. We wanted to keep on improving our wine, so we believe, coupled with organic farming, with better viticultural practices, we will be able to produce an even better Riesling.
Once Warwick has finished in the vineyard, he passes over to David, who's in charge of winemaking. And the first step is pressing, which is a critical operation, especially for Riesling, which is a grape that doesn't get aged in oak or go through malolactic fermentation. Sitting in a little unusual place on the press, so tell me, how does this work, mate?
Basically, there's a bladder inside the press, which we control through an electronic box here. There's a compressor that pushes air into that bag and presses it up against the grapes, which is against this screen, which yields the juice, and we can control the exact pressure that
And how important is the amount of pressure that you put on the press load?
Very important. If you press too hard too early, you're going to extract a lot of phenolic compounds out of the stalks and stems, because we're whole bunch pressing the Riesling.
Okay. And with whole bunches, does it help to have the stems on the bunch for pressing?
Certainly. It basically allows the juice to have channels throughout that must as it's pressing, without breaking the stems and without releasing some of that phenolic compound.
So how long does the ferment take then?
Between 42 and 52 days. So
that's unusual, huh?
It's a long time. It's longer than most, but I think it really does mean we hold the purity of the wine.
Because of the cold temperatures?
Yes, exactly.
And then
the yeast can't take off as quickly.
Okay. So David, after fermentation then what happens with the Riesling? What's next? What do you do?
The idea, for me anyway, for Riesling is you've really got to try and get it to bottle as soon as possible. Maybe a couple of months on lees just for a little bit of mouthfeel, but really getting it protein stable, getting it tartrate stable, and then getting it fresh to bottle.
So when do you actually bottle it?
It has varied, usually by December.
Okay. Wow. So within 3 or 4 months of picking.
Yeah.
In terms of flavours, when someone cracks open one of these bottles of old vine Riesling, what can they expect to taste?
For me, you can talk about a myriad of flavours, from the tropicals down to the limey sorbet style flavours. But for me, it really is about the focus and the poise that the wine holds.
And a lot of that has to do with the acidity.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And the balance between dryness and acid and fruit ripeness. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then how long can you age one of these? Is you got to basically drink it in the first year or what?
Absolutely not. With the old vines, we don't release it for 18 months.
So you bottle it, and then you sit on it for 18 months.
We sit on it for up to 18 months. We would like to sit on it longer.
Wow. 18 months, that costs a little bit of money to finance the stock.
Yes, it does, yeah.
Both Warwick and David have learned from some of the very best winemakers in the world, doing stints at places like Henschke in Australia and in the Mosel Valley in Germany. You can definitely taste their passion and expertise in every glass. So this is why we're here. This is what it's all about. The Riesling at Tantalus, absolutely first-class wine. Some of the best Riesling in Canada, and I would go as far as saying in North America. Absolutely first class. Nice job there, David.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll give you another splash.